What caused your last breakup? Despite the fact we were both poor college students, she wanted someone rich, like a doctor. So, after she dumped me, last I heard, she was engaged to a pre-med student. Well, she's in for a rude awakening. Gonna be a solid 12 to 17 years before that pre-med student is netting positive financially. At graduation I saw her and said hi and something like, "I hear you're engaged to a med student." Yes, what are you going to do when he's in med school and an intern, etc. She said spending his money. I really don't know what happened to her, but I think she was indeed in for a rude awakening. Wait, she really thinks he's just going to be instantly loaded? Not only did you dodge a bullet because she's a gold digger, but also because she's apparently dumb as a bag of rocks. Wife and I were attending couples therapy. The therapist said she was being literally abusive to me. My then wife demanded a new therapist. Second therapist said she was being abusive to me. My then wife filed for divorce. While my life right after was hell, it's come back around and I'm doing better than ever. You got some decent therapists. I'm thankful for that. Sounded like my first wife. Doctor shopping because she's not getting the answer she wants. Can't help those that don't want to be helped. I know people who've gone to therapy for help but because they were told things they didn't want to hear they quit and blamed the therapists for being useless. Mind you, there are a bunch of useless therapists, but those are the ones that don't challenge you. My best friend's ex did the same thing. He's obviously a quack and doesn't know what he's talking about. I had the similar experience. Wife and I did couples counseling for 3 of our 6 years of marriage with 3 different therapists. It was always her getting homework of not being abusive and something simple and innocuous for me. Eventually, the therapist asked, "Would you trust her to raise your children?" And the answer was definitely no. I realized it was over at that point. I was willing to stick it out if I were the only one suffering, but I couldn't let kids go through that. I then realized how dumb I was to stay at all. She cheated. We had our home, our plannings, and was preparing to marry in about 3 months when we separated. Thank goodness you found out before getting married. I know it must really hurt and maybe even keep you from trying again with someone new, but you really dodged a bullet. Yep, my wife cheated and it's costing me about $100K between legal fees, buying out her equity in the house, which she paid none of, give her a chunk of my retirement and liquid cash. Honestly, I think everyone should have a nasty infidelity clause in a prenup at this point. I can also look forward to sending her $70K in child support over the coming years. And I'm gonna take a wild guess that most of it won't be spent on the kid. She accused me of not spending time with her, never buying her anything, never doing anything for her, and sleeping with her sister. The truth was I was working 40 hours a week to feed her and clothe her while she refused to work, sat at home playing video games that I bought, and talked shit about her family, who were some of the nicest people ever. And the sister thing happened in her dreams, so definitely my fault. She's a sociopath that refuses to go to therapy because she drinks tea and plays with tarot cards. My now ex-wife would get mad at me for things she dreamed I did. And she'd stay mad. There must be a reason I dreamed that. You're not psychic, you're insecure. Happened to me too with multiple girlfriends. I think this is quite a common thing. I was really hoping the punchline after all the explanation was that you actually did sleep with her sister. The sister was better looking than the ex, so maybe. But on the other hand, her boyfriend was a real nice guy that helped me out when my car's radiator blew and he doesn't deserve that. Her not having enough time for both grad school and a relationship. She did make the right choice though. Oof, yeah. Grad school is a real drain, emotionally. Like, you need the support of a partner while you go through it, but you don't really have anything to give back. It's an awful time. I'm going through that now on the opposite end. I went to law school on my own and we were long distance. Now, she's moved in and is a grad student. I pay most the bills, cook nearly 100% of the time in addition to most other tasks, all while working as a full-time attorney. She admits I'm practically all that's keeping her fed and going. Can't say I'm stoked on the relationship, but I do love her. My wife was a professional student for years. But I stuck by her, and I am happy to say several graduate degrees later I have been a man of leisure for over 10 years while she works to support us. Out of curiosity, were you living together when she was in grad school? I recall in my grad school days I felt it would have been irresponsible for me to be in a relationship since I knew I just simply wouldn't have time between work and school. My partner is starting grad school next year and I'm kind of afraid he simply won't have time for a relationship. I told him that we must be living together before he starts grad school to even have a chance. I just finished 8 semesters of grad school, almost 3 years. I met my boyfriend while in my first semester, and he was so sweet and supportive the whole time, being understanding when I needed time to do homework, cooking when I didn't have the time or mental capacity, even doing some extra stuff around the house when my chores were neglected. We lived separate the whole time, though he stayed at my place overnight about 3 nights/week. I actually felt like it was easier that we lived apart since I could find little times during the week to work/read. If he lived with me, I think I would have been a lot more distracted. Highly recommend picking a date night. When I was in grad school I never saw my partner awake, except for 2-ish hours on Wednesday when we would meet to eat chicken wings and shoot pool. Helped us so much. It took some time, but we both realized that we weren't giving each other what we needed. Same. He saw it first, so he was the one to leave me, but thank God he did. We were so incompatible. Yeah, I was the one late to the party this time, but when we finally sat down to fight/talk it just clicked that it was the right thing to do. Went through a similar situation. We decided to do therapy, and either one. Move forward with a healthy, loving, and not at all platonic relationship, or 2. Move on and at least get some closure by understanding what didn't click despite caring for each other so much. Thankfully, it ended with scenario number 1. It was really hard because a lot of things came up that were just really hard to hear, especially after 6 years together, but needed to be said before being able to shift our relationship. I hope you two find what's best for each other. It takes courage to admit that things are just not working out, but the truth will set you free. Yeah, I don't think there's any salvaging of a romantic relationship here at this point, which to be fair there hadn't really been much of one for a while anyway. But even after all that, we found ourselves on a tangent talking about the mainstream movie scene of the late 90s. There might be a platonic relationship down the road, but we've been together since we were 19 and through too many ups and downs to come back from. He told me that he drove 8 hours to see his girl best friend because her boyfriend had cheated on her and he wanted to make her feel better. LOL. Well, he wasn't lying. Haha, he definitely made her feel something too. Reminds me of an ex where our relationship was already on the rocks because he didn't seem to make much of an effort, and when I was essentially giving him the last chance to see if he might make an effort that showed he wanted to be with me, he spent our whole date talking on the phone with some female friend who had some drama about moving or something. I was the bad guy for being pissed off because she had a crisis going on, and I lacked empathy apparently, because she hypothetically could have been homeless. If you're willing to invest time and energy in everyone besides me, that says more than enough. He never gave me a real answer. I was deployed. It's not you, it's me. I was moving across the country to be with him a month later. Now I live here and I'm happy. We talked about it after the fact. I still don't have closure. I thought we'd get back together, but I realize now I don't want what he has to offer. I can sympathize, I've had similar and you feel cheated. Closure will only comes from yourself, mate. So we were dual military. Both from the same state, stationed in different states USA. I was doing great at home, but when I moved to the same base as him, the panic came back and I had to heal again. Now he's about to deploy and honestly he's just not my type anymore. I'm happy. Any advice? I feel like I don't have closure from my breakup, but I definitely don't want them back. I started doing the things I loved most. I lost myself a little bit. I picked up a new hobby, met new people, and went out of my comfort zone. I'm a fitness freak because of some brain chemicals or something. You can't be sad when you work out. Let yourself grieve, but know you're not grieving that person, just what you had. I feel like I get in good moods, but then my baseline is almost to start grieving again. I feel like something is missing and I need something to close the book for me. I've dove into my fitness as I've always been into it, but it just feels like I need a little more, you know? Something is missing to let me close the chapter. I entirely understand that. I was going through that for a while. As cheesy as it sounded, I just needed to find myself. I started BJJ and cross-stitching and went on some dates and I'm much better. I mourn from time to time, but honestly, for only having been here a month, I'm doing good. It takes time, and I can't say to just get over it, but it will pass. Try something you've always wanted to try. My DMs are always open. You are a wonderful person. I try. Please like and subscribe for more daily content.